from Broward County, where big Democrat stronghold, a third of the vote is in. Democrats need to win that county by in excess of 150,000 in order to carry the state. We're down by only 10,000 in Broward County. So there are plenty of votes out there, 54 that have already closed the polls and where Bush is ahead, even by the network's own projections. 32 in the Rocky Mountain West that everybody, I think, cedes to Bush. And then a lot of other votes in other places, the Pacific Northwest and the central part of the country.
Mr. Rove, one of those states that you ticked off that you're going to win and want to win, we are projecting in your column, in fact, the state of Tennessee. As you know, I don't have to tell you, 11 electoral votes. That goes into the governor's column. Do you think by tomorrow at noon you will have won the state of Florida? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, look, we've worked very hard on getting a record number of absentee ballots. In Florida, they keep track of the absentee ballots in virtually all the major counties by your party registration. There are 130,000 more Republican absentee ballots in the state of Florida than Democrat absentee ballots. Plus, we're going to get a chunk of Democrats and a lot of the declined estates. And not only that, but let me give you just one example. There's a county up near, in between Pensacola and Panama City, where the Republicans hope to come out with a 30,000 vote margin. We've come out with a 43,000 vote margin. There's a county south of Jacksonville, Clay County, where the Republicans are running 4,000 votes ahead of what we need to do statewide. And county after county, Pinellas County, that we were not expected to win, a big county in the Tampa-St. Pete area, Governor Bush is winning Pinellas County. So we're going to do well in Florida, and I think the call in Florida was a bit premature. But that's going to be the icing on the cake, because we can get to that 270 number with states like Tennessee that you just awarded us, in which the polls have been closed, or the Rocky Mountain states and Southwest, which are good Republican territory, and then some. We got a lot of other places to play in the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast.
But when we talked yesterday, you had Minnesota in your win column as a firewall, and now...
No, I didn't have it. Tom, I had it in there as one of those things that we'd like to poach from the Democrats. This is a state, as I think I told you yesterday, that the Republicans last carried in 1972, and yet the polls showed that this was a very much of a toss-up state, and we're working hard for Minnesota. I know you just awarded it to Mr. Gore, but we'll see. But that was not one of our firewall states, not at all.
Are you surprised that now that the polls have closed that we're still not able to make a projection, for example, in Arizona and Colorado, a southwestern and a Rocky Mountain state in which you thought that you would have a substantial victory?
No, not at all, because look, in Arizona and Colorado, we mounted huge efforts to get out the vote by early votes and absentees. For example, in El Paso County, Colorado, which is Colorado Springs, maybe as much as 40% of the vote is going to be cast absentee. We did a huge effort in Arizona, and the Arizona ballots, absentee ballots and early votes, are tabulated by party registration, and they're over 2.5 to 1 Republican, and that doesn't get caught in your exit exams. Again, we'll win both of those states comfortably.
Thank you very much, Karl Rove. Thanks very much for being with us tonight, and best wishes to you. And of course, we extend the same best wishes across the aisle to the Gore campaign as well. It's been a long and difficult campaign for these people who have been working 24/7, 365 days on these campaigns. Tim Russert, you heard Karl Rove say we can get there.
He can, mathematically, and those states are, in fact, many of them traditional Republican states. Missouri and Wisconsin have been tilting Democratic. If Governor Bush can snatch those, Tom, then he has a real battleground out west. I've been looking at these numbers. We've given Mr. Gore 193, assuming Florida, which Mr. Rove is contesting. If you assume that California and Hawaii are safe Democratic states, that gets him 251, just 19 away. And that means he's playing for about 3 of the remaining, if you will, 15 states. This is Vice President Gore. If you take away Florida, all bets are off. Right. It is clear, listening to Mr. Rove, that Governor Bush has to run the table, to use the analogy we've been using all night. But based on some of the things we're seeing and listening to voters, it is still doable. We won't know until at least 11 o'clock whether or not it is, in fact, possible in a big way, and in fact is something that can become reality.
Ken, how realistic is it, though, that Florida could fall to George Bush at this point in time, given the absentee ballots he mentioned?
There are considerable registrations of absentee ballots, but I think the networks have all taken their time in making this projection. If it's wrong, we'll be the first to admit it. And obviously the information that Mr. Rove provided will be factored into everyone's calculation. But every network looked at this based on the samplings we're getting and awarded it to Vice President Gore. Even without that, Katie, Mr. Rove is right. Mathematically, Governor Bush can still reach 270, even if, in fact, Vice President Gore wins California and all 54 votes has been widely assumed.